Yeah, and she helped us with our move and all the arrangements.
There was so much stuff. Who knew we had 3 fondue pots?
But she made it easy.
So easy.
Now we enjoy ourselves.
Golf, the pool, new friends, shuttles to where we want to go.
The pub and the food.
So good.
There wasn't a long-term commitment or any large fees.
And they have a healthcare system on campus with doctors if we need it. The kids really like that.
The kids like to come and eat with us.
There's an easier, worry-free way to retire at the Village at St. Barnabas. Come visit us for a free and informative counseling session and personal tour.
I can't believe you waited so long.
I can't believe you waited so long.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
I'm feeling pretty good. This is kind of going back to the before times. I like this. Tom Young is. I'm sorry.
We not have any.
That's a great question. Tom's already starting with the questions.
All right.
Tom Young is my guest, the First Consultants. This is the first time did you come by? Did I hear you yesterday?
I was here yesterday. Yes, I was. And just to check it out, and all was good. I mean, the door was locked, and this is different than Beaver Falls. There's nobody sitting in there to push the button to let you in the door.
No.
And do that. But anyway, here we are.
Pretty nice, isn't it?
I got an interesting bunch of topics today to discuss.
You were worried about Wi-Fi. We are feeding this on our Facebook page.
I did get.
You got it going, Tom.
This morning was one of those things that was just one thing after another. This morning, I had plans to be here 10 to 15 minutes early to enjoy this new atmosphere, and take it all in. And crap happened. So, but I'm here, and we're ready to go.
What are we talking about today? Tom Young of First Consultants. Tell them who you are for the few people that will hear this and go, okay, who is that? That guy sounds smart. Who is that?
I'm Tom Young. I'm here. I'm referred to as the financial coach or whatever. I change people's lives for a living. I've authored several books, several articles that have been published internationally dealing with the financial industry. Professional speaker. If you're looking for a speaker for a meeting or whatever, I do inspirational personal growth and obviously financial growth and that type of thing. Share the show today. You got to share the show. If you send me an email and tell me that you shared the show and give me a mailing address, I will send you an autographed copy of my new book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project. There it is right there. Mm-hmm. It's about changing your lives. In other words, today's topic, we're going to talk about the Family Money Farm today, which is the title of the book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project.
Okay.
And it's been a couple of years since I finished the book and got that all done, and I've sat here, and I finally come to realize that the Family Money Farm concept is really the most successful way to your financial future, because it just simply makes everything work at maximum efficiency. And when I meet people and talk, that's really what I talk about. It's about being efficient with everything you do.
Do we know how inefficient we really are with our money?
Oh, I have some great information today. Let me start with the debt clock. You know, we talk every month about the debt clock. Now before we go anywhere, we have one thing to do. We need to pray for everybody in the world. The COVID virus out of that Wuhan lab in China. Everybody has been touched worldwide by this in some way or another, had their health impaired. They've lost loved ones. So we pray for all those that have had their health impaired, that they would get better and get over it. We pray for those who have lost loved ones, and especially for the loved ones who have been lost, that the Lord would gather them into his arms and take them to his heaven above. We pray for Ukraine and Russia. This is idiocy, these men and what they're doing, and nobody wants to sit and talk at the table. There's no leadership in the world right now, including our country. The clown in the White House today is the worst president in the history of the United States. That's my opinion, folks. Whether you agree or not, I don't care. But that's the way it is. So we pray for all of the things going bad and wrong in the world, that the Lord would help these men find the road to peace in their mind. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
The 30,000-foot view, Eddie, I talk about that in my podcast because you can find me at anchor.fm.com, and the podcast title are Money Shifts. It shifts around, money shifts.
Okay.
You can also find me on Facebook, and we're live on Facebook today on my Facebook page, but it will be posted at the Family Money Farm group on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And my goal at this point in my life is to change people's lives. Now, let's talk about the debt. The government spends money the Family Money Farm. Does money grow on trees, Eddie? We've heard that before. Does money grow on trees?
Heard it a lot growing up. Money doesn't.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
According to my parents, what do you think?
But yet the government spends money like it is growing on trees, and you just go out and pluck it off. We hit a new milestone this week, Eddie.
Really?
$32 trillion of debt. And the unfunded liability, $191.568 trillion. So that's $223 trillion.
My brain can't even wrap around what that number is.
Well, that's the whole issue, Eddie, is people in the leadership in Washington. It is becoming, in my mind, a farcical joke because they don't even pretend anymore to know what they're doing. Now, I have a number. Every month I bring the debt clock. So I was going through my papers last night, and a year ago, May of 2022, the debt was $30.5 trillion, and the unfunded liability was $169 trillion.
Okay.
So now the unfunded liability, which is Social Security, Medicare, and benefits and pensions for government and military. No, that's what all this, that's this unfunded liability. That's the promise of payment of all of those benefits. It increased by $22 trillion in 1 year, and the debt went up by another $2 trillion.
God, that's almost $1 trillion.
So that's $24 trillion of new debt and obligation that we have. Now, the GDP, Eddie, what is the GDP?
Hang on, I missed this on a quiz. Gross domestic product.
Yeah, so that's the total production of the United States. Mm-hmm. 26 trillion. Now we added. Did you get that, Eddie? We added 24 trillion.
We're going the wrong way.
We added 24 trillion, and all the production of America was 26 trillion.
We're going the wrong way.
And the news media and God bless WBBP, because you know what, folks? I ask Frank, the manager, all the time. He says, Frank, is there anything I cannot talk about? He said no. So here I am. And I'm not the conservative talk show host like some of them are, or whatever, but I just have my feelings and belief that we need to bring God back into focus in America. And what I do is about God's plan. It is not about anybody else's plan, etc. So when we look at America, what's happening? How do you answer that question, Eddie? I'll ask you. You're a man of a lot of knowledge, just simply because of what you do.
Who told you that? Come on, Tom. We've known each other long enough. You should know better. Okay, let's go with that. I might know something. Go ahead.
All right. Where do you see us going, Eddie? I mean, you're my audience today. Okay, and this knowledge that I put out here, do you think anybody's really paying attention, Eddie?
No. Oh, no. If that's your first question, I don't even...
Is anybody really paying attention?
No.
And
we're paying attention to a lot of stupid crap that has nothing to do with the future, and it's the forest for the trees. And hang on, let me post my video on TikTok. But paying attention to the reality of where we live financially? Not at all.
It just isn't happening. I believe there is an awakening that is happening around America. But come on, folks, you got to speed it up a bit. You know, you got to get up out of your chair so it hits you in the chest, because right now it's going over your head. You're just not hearing what's going on around us. And
that's a good way to think of it. Right now, we have the wrong posture.
Exactly. There is no question about that. And some people might sit and think, you know, we're the oldest individual government in the world that hasn't had any takeovers, coups, you know, change of the government, I believe. I'm not positive of that, but I've heard that we are the oldest sitting government that has stayed the same for over 200 years. 260 some years is where we're at right now.
Right.
And here we are. But is it time for change? I don't know. There was a concept out that was put out by the military. My opinion, I heard a video. I saw the same video several times, a retired general, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name. But one of the things that I have been following lately is NESARA. In other words, how do we fix America? How do we fix America?
Explain what NESARA is.
NESARA is a plan that I believe may be implemented sometime in the future. When I don't know when, but NESARA implements the following changes. I'm only going to read a couple of these because they are really, they're really out there. Zeroes out all credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. This is the Federal Reserve's worst nightmare. Now let's talk about that a minute. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913. And the original name of this organization was called the Banking Cartel. Now, folks, when I say banking cartel, what does that conjure in your mind?
Gangsters
that we're sitting here talking about, and the banking cartel.
Gangsters.
And well, they didn't think it would go over too big, so they renamed it the Federal Reserve.
Sure.
And there is nothing federal about it in any way. There is no government oversight. It is all made up of privately owned banking institutions worldwide. It is the Federal Reserve in the United States, but we are all part of the Rothschild family that goes back into 1790, and the first Rothschild that started international banking. He says, I don't care who's running the politics, just give me control of the money. And that's paraphrasing, but that was basically what he said.
I just saw a story. The Republican primaries are going to spend $1 billion. So he was right.
It is ludicrous. And now, you know, we got wars going on. I want to know who's making the money from the war machine that makes all the bullets, the guns, and all that kind of stuff. Because to me, and I've heard this, that you know, wars are wanted because everybody makes money. There is a video on YouTube called The Banker. Okay, and you'll know you're there because it's a guy sitting in a black silk robe with dark rimmed glasses reading a book, and the title of the book is Huxley. His name is Montague. So everybody needs to hear this video because Montague is a banker, and he talks about banking and how banks make money funding both sides of the war. I mean, who loaned money to Hitler to build his war machine? It was the banks.
Absolutely.
So,
and when the Wall Street crash, that all of that money got called up. And what you're describing in Central America, Tom, you know this. If somebody's got a beef with somebody, we give stuff to both sides to make sure we've got friends with the winner.
It is, and how do you stop it?
How do you let people know that? Why don't, serious question aside for a second. Tom Young is my guest from First Consultants. I'm Eddie Crow. The program is Teleforum. How do you get people to pay attention? Because you ask me, are people paying attention? Do people know? And I don't think so. How do you get people to pay attention?
The only thing I know, Eddie, is marketing. And there was a concept to marketing. Hook, story, offer. You know, so
but wait, there's
the
more.
hooks, the news media is hiding the hooks. Or they are putting out artificial hooks to get you to pay attention to what they want you to pay attention to. Now, when I say news media, and that means there are 6 billionaires in the world that control 90 to 95% of all of the news media. So just imagine F News, FO, and I won't say
Whatever
the whole
acronym.
It's an acronym. It's a little furry animal.
Sure.
It's called a fox, and it runs around the woods. And
It looks for chickens.
It is known for fact that he was somebody that actually hated President Trump when Trump was in office. This news organization did everything they could to do that, and they just got rid of Tucker Carlson. So there are moves that are happening that people, they say, oh well, guy, they didn't like what he did and he lost his job. Anyway,
I got to take a break.
Let's
I
take a
love
break.
talking to you.
Well, we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the Family Money Farm, planting money trees, and how to prevent the weeds.
Okay, plural. Tom Young is my guest. News is next. It's Telepora.
For the 13th year, eyes in Beaver County will turn to the skies on Saturday, June 24th for Push Beaver County's Beaver County Boom. Beaver County Boom is presented by Visit Beaver County, and it's bigger and better than ever. There will be skydivers, and both Air Heritage vintage military airplanes will fly over, followed by the star of the show, Beaver County Boom, at 9:45 p.m. It all takes place over the Ohio River between Monaca and Rochester. Bring your radio along or listen to your smart device to the Beaver County Presley Ridge live broadcast on Beaver County Radio beginning at 6. Title presenter sponsor of Beaver County Boom is Visit Beaver County. Silver sponsors include AK Nahas, the Borough of Beaver, the Fort McIntosh Foundation, IBEW Local Union 712, Mario's 410 Grill, the PA Cyber Charter School, and American General Services John Fensel, among others. Don't miss Beaver County Boom, Saturday, June 24th.
Hi, this is Tom Young from First Consultants, Inc. Have you ever heard the phrase, you can't take it with you when you die? Of course you have. Believe it or not, nothing can be further from the truth. Everyone has economic human life value. That value based on what we do and what we earn annually for a lifetime. We all know that the next generations of our family are going to need a tremendous amount of money to circumvent the government and the problems that they have left us for our future. Life insurance creates this money for pennies. Many times it can be created with no additional out-of-pocket cost. You see, you do take it with you. You take it away from the future generations of your family. Give us a call at 724-728-6820 for a complimentary 45-minute discussion, or visit our website, firstconsultantsinc.com, or tune into our monthly multimedia simulcast and Facebook live stream video on the third Tuesday of each month from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is no way affiliated with First Consultants, Inc., nor is First Consultants, Inc. a registered investment advisor.
It might be time to repair or replace that old garage door. Call on Robin and her team of expert installers at Electric Garage Door Sales in Monaca. Dial 724-774-3200 and your door will work like a charm. Featuring CHI quality garage doors, LiftMaster garage door openers, and over 50 years experience, Robin and her team will get it done right. Electric Garage Door Sales. Give them a call at 724-774-3200 or find them online at electricgaragedoorsales.com.
Are you ready for a life-changing career? Presley Ridge is seeking bachelor's and master's level mental health professionals to support kids and families in Beaver County. Up to $5,000 sign-on bonuses are available. Presley Ridge employees receive high-quality clinical supervision and training, flexible schedules, and competitive benefits. Visit presleyridge.org/careers for current opportunities and to apply now. Presley Ridge is an equal opportunity employer.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio, Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. for Scott Paulson's Radio Stella. Radio Stella is presented by Fry Transportation and is all about the history of rock and roll. Scott is armed with thousands of songs and useless rock and roll trivia that he has put together to bring you 2 hours of jams every Sunday night that you may never forget. Radio Stella is also being brought to you in part by Pittsburgh Guitar. So tune in Radio Stella with Scott Paulson every Sunday night from 7 to 9 here on Beaver County Radio. Beaver County Radio's news source. 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
And good morning on this Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. The Beaver County weather forecast is calling for scattered showers today, cloudy skies throughout, and a high of 81 degrees. We'll go over your full details of the Beaver County weather forecast following this look at news. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that a Chipotle restaurant will be built in Beaver County. A conditional use hearing was held prior to the Center Township Supervisor's regular meeting Monday night. The new Chipotle facility will be located in the shopping plaza where Ross's clothing store is in the township. Jonathan Kamen, whose firm owns the shopping center, told the supervisors it is strictly a drive-through if a customer has an app. If not, they can go in and order their food. Construction is expected to start on Monday, August 7th of 2023, and they expect to be open for Christmas. Mr. Kamen told the supervisors that parking spaces for the restaurant will be designated and signage will be put in place. Pennsylvania State Senator Elder Vogel Jr., Majority Chair of the Senate Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee, will be hosting a press conference in celebration of National Dairy Month and in honor of Pennsylvania's dairy industry on Thursday, June 22nd from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. at Soldiers Grove, located on Commonwealth Avenue in Harrisburg. This event will feature key agriculture and dairy leaders who will provide an overview and share the successes of Pennsylvania's dairy industry. Additionally, Vogel will also have some of Pennsylvania's dairy princesses present to share industry-specific information, baby calves for some photo opportunities, and the Pennsylvania Dairymen's Association's milkshake truck at Soldiers Grove from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Speakers at the press conference will include Russell Redding, who is the Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, Senator Judy Schwank, Minority Chair of the Senate Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee, and Representative Eddie Day Paczynski, Majority Chair of the House Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee. At last week's Ambridge Council meeting, Councilman Tony Caffarelli was appointed vice president. The position was previously held by Mayor Tina Iorfido Miller. Russ Basayalga was appointed to serve Mayor Miller's unexpired term on council. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano also reports that an announcement was made to remind residents that they are invited to attend the fireworks at dusk on Saturday, July 1st at Walter Panic Park. Council next meets in regular session on Tuesday, July 11, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers. Rescuers in a remote area of the Atlantic Ocean are racing against time to find a missing submersible carrying 5 people on a mission to document the wreckage of the Titanic. The submersible, named the Titan, part of a mission by OceanGate Expeditions, carried a pilot, a renowned British adventurer, 2 members of an iconic Pakistani business family, and another passenger. Authorities reported the vessel overdue Sunday night about 435 miles south of St. John's, Newfoundland. Every passing minute, however, puts the Titan's crew at greater risk. The submersible had a 96-hour oxygen supply when it put to sea at roughly 6 a.m. on Sunday. In Pennsylvania, the Our Hair Initiative will provide mental health support for Medicaid members in local black salons and barbershops and to help reduce the stigma often associated with mental health issues in communities of color. Danielle Smith has the details.
1 in 5 Americans is affected by mental illness, according to the CDC. Lori Weems is program manager for the Our Hair Project with Community Care Behavioral Health. She says African Americans experience mental health issues at the same rate as the general population, but only about a third of them actually obtain the help they need. She says the Our Hair Project starts the conversation about mental health.
We thought this would be a perfect marriage of trying to engage people around mental health and to normalize talking about it by training the barbers and stylists on how to talk with their clients about mental health, substance use, suicide prevention, and then how to link them to resources.
Weems says Community Care made a stronger commitment to social and racial justice and health equity after the death of George Floyd. She explains that as a group effort, the organization came up with a company-wide strategy plan that focuses on 6 key areas. One of those areas is community engagement, and it was this work group that launched the idea of the Our Hair Initiative to arm barbershops and salons with mental health resources.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM. along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Scattered showers today with a high of 81 degrees. Cloudy and humid tonight with a low of 67. A mix of clouds and sun tomorrow with a high of 80 degrees. Cloudy with a slight chance of rain Thursday with a high of 72. Scattered showers and thunderstorms Friday with a high of 75 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Matt Durzik for Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming live at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum, 724-843-1888, 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
It is, and it is 74 degrees, a little bit of drizzle right now, but the sun's shining inside because Tom Young of First Consultants is my guest. The last thing I said before we went to news was, I love talking to you because we can start on one thing, and then it changes completely.
Well, Eddie, it's all tied together. And there are thin threads between everything that I talk about. You know, the principles of prosperity, there are 12, but the first three, number one is how you think.
Or
number two,
it's not if you think, it's how you think.
That's how you think.
Okay.
Number two is see, because how you think determines what you see, how you interpret what you see.
All right.
And number three is measure properly. And we are not taught how to measure things correctly. Yes, 2 and 2 is 4, but that is not macroeconomics. If I make a financial decision here, how many ripples is there in that decision that affect many other things at the same time? And until you learn how to measure those ripples, you will not find the optimum, maximum financial well-being that you can find, the maximum efficiency that I refer to it as.
That brings me back to something you said. It would seem like if you're going to be more efficient, you need a bigger picture. That's back to that 30,000 feet view, right?
That's exactly right. Okay. You know, the 30,000 foot view is just a little topic that I throw into my podcast. And when we were on break, Eddie, you mentioned something to me about BlackRock. And guess what? I have notes here. BlackRock and Vanguard control 95% of all the corporations in the world. They own that much stock. Now, there's an article, and I can't put my finger on it, but I just read it this morning.
So you're talking about controlling stock.
Absolutely,
not
Eddie.
Just the diversification
and
of a portfolio.
And the question is who is controlling? What are their thoughts? What are their attitudes? You know, it's just like the transgender stuff and all this stuff going on. I'm not going to talk about that today. That's another topic for another day. But somebody is driving the topic. Somebody is driving the message that is in a position of influence. And position of influence is scary when you look. Now, the article I read, and it was in Epoch Times, I think, or online. And anyway, BlackRock has filed to own more than 20% of all of the utilities in America.
Oh, no.
Now, if you own that much utilities, you're under the government scrutiny. And the board passed it and said, well, we know you're honest. We're not going to put you under the same scrutiny, so you won't have to do what somebody else would do if you owned more than 20% of all the utilities.
So if you have more power by owning more, you're held to a lower standard.
That's exactly right, and that's what the article said about BlackRock. You know, we have World Economic Forum and this Klaus Schwab guy. If you're not reading any of the stuff that this guy's saying, wake up, folks. This is real. These people are the billionaires of the world. They meet a few times a year to try to create the guidance for the future. And they are more powerful than the Club of Rome. Remember the Club of Rome? I've talked about them.
Yes,
they formed in 1968. They're the smartest people on the planet, supposedly, and they predicted that we'd be out of oil by 1993. Well, out of that came OPEC, and then the gold standard went away, and I mean, there was a bunch of dominoes that came after the Club of Rome predicted that the world was going to run out of crude oil. and one world order. This makes me think of Star Wars when I hear people of influence in the world talking about one world order. The new armies of the future are all going to be under the control of the United Nations in New York. I don't want my army under United Nations in New York.
I want my army to be an American army. Now, if you want to have your own little side army, militia, just call it that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how much do they control? And the One World Bank, the central banking system of the world, is controlled by the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
And if you do some research, when I wrote the book, The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project, I did some research into the Rothschilds. And what I found was a conspiracy theory. On one side, they're not worth much. They're only worth maybe $500 billion.
Oh, yeah.
On the other side of the conspiracy theory,
right,
they're believed to be worth over $50 trillion, and they control every banking system in the world. Isn't it interesting that you can go through the banking systems and find a Rothschild relative running all the banks?
How much is a trillion? Is that 1,000 billion?
It's 1,000 billion,
okay,
and a billion is 1,000 million.
Okay.
So
a lot of money.
Trillion is a million millions.
I hope that they ain't struggling with only 500 million, like it says on that one set of books.
I don't know, Eddie. And let's.
Why don't people know this? Are we too busy not paying attention because we're too busy arguing about Taylor Swift?
Everything is subject to interpretation. Everybody has a perspective of life. We have a perspective of what life is. But that perspective gets changed because of perceptions. Our perceptions change based on three elements. There are only three things that change everything. The people we meet, okay, people of influence, people we meet in general,
okay,
books we read, and the places we go, the things we experience. That is what drives people's perceptions. And people are living their lives every day. Home to work, work to home, 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 home to work, work to home. That's 1 week, and there's 52 weeks a year.
Yes.
And they're worried about their being able to buy groceries next week, the kids going to college, whatever it is. There are five things. Let's talk about Family Money Farm and the weeds. Okay?
And the weeds.
There is risk, taxes, regulations, inflation, and depreciation. Those are the five elements that every time you make a decision about something financial in your life or attached to the financial part of your life, you have to look at these five things: risk, taxes, regulation, inflation, and depreciation. And the five biggest losses that we have are based on taxes, mortgages, qualified plans, which are IRA, 401k, and those things. That's what qualified plans are. Those are partnerships with the federal government. And I never understood why anybody would ever want to partner with the lying people of the federal government. They lie because they tell you one thing and a couple years later they change things. It's just like the debt. Where did the debt come from? It came from the politicians making promises they had no intention of keeping because they wouldn't be there when the obligation came due. It just kicked the can down the road, as they say. Number 4 is college costs, and number 5 is capital purchases. Now, those 5 things, taxes, mortgages, qualified plans, college costs, and capital purchases, the average family in my mind making more than $100,000 a year household income,
nice,
lose a minimum, Eddie, of $1.5 million unknowingly and unnecessarily because you do everything the financial world tells you to do. How do you think they make money? If you do what they tell you to do, who do you think wins on that game?
Yeah.
If we got a net and we're bantering back and forth, and I get to make all the rules.
Yeah.
I'm going to win.
Yeah,
and that's what the financial world is about.
And you've taught me what banks want to do. They want your money. They want to keep it as long as possible. They want to give back as little as possible.
I want more ongoing.
And they want more. I'm glad. See, 3 out of 4 is good for me. But,
good deal.
But you're right.
And that's why the Family Money Farm, when I talk about growing Family Money Farm and growing money trees. Now, what is a money tree? A money tree is a purposeful savings. Okay, that's what a money tree is. In other words, I'm saving money purposely. On purpose is what I'm saying. And where I accumulate it is subjective. I can make a decision where I accumulate money to operate the family money farm. Mm-hmm. What are the things I do on the family money farm? Well, I have to accumulate capital so that in the future, the 4 rules, you said them, I want all your money, more ongoing, keep forever, give back as little as possible.
Right.
Let's turn them around and say, okay, what are my 4 rules? I want all my money.
Well, I'm just going to use the same rules. My money. I want as much as I want. I want as much as I can afford to put aside.
That's right. Okay. That's the point of the 4 rules of us. In other words, our 4 rules. Mm-hmm. I want all my money. Well, I got to pay for food, shelter, and clothing. I have a lifestyle I have to pay for. So I start with 20%. So I'm going to carve 20% of my gross income off the top. Oh, I can't afford to do that. Yes, you can. If you went to work tomorrow and they cut your pay, you would get by. You would make adjustments and learn how to get by. So but that's your decision. Do you really care about your future? Because you are now spending your future lifestyle to pay for today's lifestyle.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And
so you have this war going on in your mind between today's lifestyle and tomorrow's lifestyle. And because the further away tomorrow is, the less importance it has on my mind today. So it becomes easy, out of sight, out of mind, and it becomes easy. And then people will say to me, well, my 401k at work, and now that's qualified plans. Remember those things, qualified plans?
The government will help you with this.
Well, who wants to partner with the federal government and their ability to change the rules? Here's a rule change that nobody really knows about. In March of 2020, when the COVID rules came, in other words, COVID came along and they locked us down, and now we're finding out how much of that maybe wasn't as true as they said it was. And I read something the other day in a medical journal that more people are hospitalized who have been vaccinated than not. That's a factual statement. And so here we are now. I have a star of honor on YouTube. They blocked me because I said a prayer for the people that got vaccines because some people got their health affected by the vaccines.
Yes.
And so I said add that to my prayer. And about a week after that, the fact checkers at YouTube told me I couldn't do that. If I did it again, they'd block me. So there was my star.
No, you know what? You and Kennedy Jr. Kennedy Jr. and Joe Rogan just got blocked. So you have something in common with the Kennedy. Well played, sir.
I don't know, Eddie. I don't know. Let's pick one of these 5, and the easiest one is qualified plans. Just let me ask you a couple of questions. People, when I talk to them, they say, why are you putting your money in your 401k? Well, that's easiest because out of sight, out of mind. Because if they don't take it out of my paycheck, I'll spend it. That's a discipline problem. That's a goal-oriented discipline problem that you can't save money unless they take it from you and put it where you can't get at it.
I'm no good on my own.
Without severe penalty and taxes. So here you are. You put all of your discretionary savings over here in your 401k. Now, it's only a decision you can make to do or not do a 401k. But if you don't do the 401k, you have to have another plan to save the money. You don't just stop doing the 401k. You have to have another plan to save the money. And that brings me back to the money trees. A 401k is not a money tree on the money form because you have no access to the money without severe penalties and taxes.
Without hurting yourself to get your own money.
Absolutely. Now, you've taken money and you've thrown it as far as you can into the future with little access to it.
Right.
You need to buy a car, Eddie. Where do you go get the money to buy a car?
A bank, usually.
That's that thing uptown, right? Do you ever notice how nice they have marble countertops? Marble floors.
Yeah.
They are the nicest constructed buildings that you'd ever want to find.
I like when they sponsor sports stadiums, too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What is that, Accenture in Pittsburgh?
Acrisure. And there is everything. Like, I watch Indy cars. When the Scott Dixon PNC car goes by, I think, how many branches could that have built? All, and you're exactly right. And that's my money. And they're doing that.
It is. You put money in a 401k and they loan it out and make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want you to receive compound interest. Now, compound interest is a losing strategy because it never really makes enough money to keep up with inflation and macroeconomics.
It's making some, but it's not going to make enough to keep up with the world.
Okay. Well, let's go to mortgages. I mean, most people have a mortgage at one time or another in their life. And if you talk to somebody with a mortgage, oh, you want a 15-year mortgage because look how much money you're going to save in interest you're going to pay on a 30-year mortgage. Now, that is factually a true statement. However, mortgages are macroeconomic, which means there are other elements tied to the mortgages. So I get a tax benefit with the interest I pay on the mortgage, first. Second of all, inflation. In other words, the time value of money. I'm 73 years old. I have a 30-year mortgage. I still have 20 years to go on my 30-year mortgage. Can I pay it off? I could pay it off tomorrow, but am I going to give the bank all of my money? What is the benefit to me to giving the bank my capital and putting it in my house that may or may not appreciate in value?
Nothing.
Now let me come back to the Nassara Jassara note a minute.
Okay.
Now what did I do with it, Tom?
Tom Young is my guest. Tom Young of First Consultants. Talking about the
right here,
also talking about weeds. It's been a busy day. You find it?
It really has. It really has. So houses, mortgages, all the debt, in other words, a jubilee of forgiveness of debt, abolishes the income tax, abolishes the IRS. Employees of the IRS will be transferred to the U.S. Treasury National Sales Tax Area, creates a 14% flat non-essential tax on new items only, sales tax revenue for the government. In other words, food and medicine will not be taxed, blah, blah, blah. Increase to senior citizens, reinstates original nobility, establishes new presidential congressional elections within 120 days. Interim government will cancel all national emergencies, monitors elections. So if all the debt goes away, and you want to find Dr. Scott Young, no relative, it's just coincidence the guy has the same name as mine, Dr. Scott Young on YouTube. And he is a dentist, he is a PhD, and you need to listen to some of his videos because he puts some of this stuff in real perspective. You know, the solution for the future is not going to be in electing another politician under the way things are right now. Tom's opinion, my opinion, majority of what the government does, they don't need to do. We need to privatize it. We need to let companies, businesses do the majority of what the government does. And all of those services can be sold off. In my mind, that's the only way that it can make a dent in the debt and unfunded liability by moving a lot of the government's operations out of government. Government is too big. You know, I did a thing, I think last month, I don't have it with me today, but we talked about 1919 and stuff that went on, you know, streetcar line, a company created, and it was profitable. The government took it over, and nothing works. The perfect example is the U.S. Post Office. Tell me when the post office ever made money. Would they just give them another $4 or $5 billion recently, and the stamps went up in price at the same time? I know we're running out of time, and I'm getting around. Let me close. Let me wrap it up.
You go. The more you talk, the less
you're out of control.
Yeah.
Okay, signs you might be on your way to financial ruin. You cannot tell how much you owe without looking it up. And that's one of the questions I ask people. Well, how much do you owe? And majority of people they do not know how much they owe. You can, but do not pay off your credit card balance. You can, but you don't pay off your credit card balance every month. You carry the balance. And the interest rates are rising, folks. They're going to 20 and above on credit card interest from 18, where they've been for a long time.
Yep, 21
You
and
need
24.
a higher credit limit for purchases other than business expenses. You have more than one credit card for personal and one for business. You use one credit card to pay the bill on another.
That's bad.
You have rolled your credit card balances more than twice.
Also bad.
You post-date checks. Yet you get caught often having to pay late fees on monthly bills. You must use your credit card to pay a payment you usually pay by check. You only pay the minimum required on the billing statement. You take advantage of the offer to skip a payment. You do not have a written budget. You must finance your next car purchase. The payoff on your car is more than you can sell it for today.
Oh, what is that? Upside down?
Upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
You fund Christmas with money you will earn next year. You fund your vacation with money you will earn when you get back.
You just described American culture.
You do not have anything left after paying your bills to give to others. You have used home equity to pay bills and are still charging. You do not know how much you should be saving. And there's a dozen more. I'm not going to just go through those. But you get the idea, folks. In other words, it's time to make a change in your life. And you know what? The important thing is, the first professional talk I did, it was called the BTE talk. Be the example. You are the example for people that are watching you. You are the example for your children. And what's going on today in America is scarier than anything I've seen in my 73 years. The examples that are being created and put on the marketplace.
Tell people how they can get in touch with you.
I'm Tom Young. I own a business called First Consultants. You can find me in Beaver at 1413 3rd Street, Beaver, PA. Phone number 724-728-6820. You can go to www.1stconsultantsinc.com. And right at the top of that screen, when it comes up, there's a little paragraph right at the end of it that says you can book a meeting. You can do a Zoom meeting, a phone call, or a face-to-face. That's how simple it is to get to me on the calendar. God bless you all. I guess we're done for today, Eddie, and we have to wait for another month to come back and stir the pot.
Well, I will look forward to it. Tom Young stirring the pot. How's it? You like the new digs here?
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. Very good.
Ever been sitting minding your own business and suddenly discovered that the world is spinning rapidly of its